Welcome to the Noctica podcast. I am your host, Noctica, and I'm an artist, designer, and musician from Australia who is basically just chatting with some friends in film, music, art, and all of those creative industries, and basically just talking shop and having a bit of fun and talking about those industries. Today with me, I have my good friends, Connor, Angus, and Avelina, who helped me out on my music video, who did some camera work behind the scenes, lighting, and a bit of directing and stuff here and there, and helped do this. So thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome.
We're very honoured to help make you look dope as fuck.
Well, I mean, like, without you guys, I'd be pretty screwed. So speaking of the music video, it just came out. I'm pretty excited about it, but Avelina, you haven't watched it yet?
Yes, on purpose, because we're going to do a reaction, which I'm super excited about. So I will tell you, though, I watched like the first 30 seconds, so I have seen a little bit of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited.
The rest of us have already watched it.
So Angus and I messed up.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were already watching it, and then like we would just kind of like do like a watch commentary bit.
But now that Avelina said that she hasn't watched it on purpose, it makes sense to have not watched it on purpose to do a reaction to it. So.
Hang on, guys. Yeah. I've got an idea. Where is it stored?
Yeah,
Where is it
just
stored?
right in here.
Yeah.
My turn.
I felt judged, actually. It was funny. I was like, you hadn't watched it?
it.
Wow. Like, it was almost like they're like... We thought you were her biggest fan, but you didn't even watch her fucking video. And I'm
you shot the video and you didn't even watch it. You didn't even watch it.
I know, how funny is that? You just fucking filmed it and then didn't even watch it.
It's like,
that's
I've
how
been
I
there,
roll.
done that.
So very excited to announce that it was consciously done, and I can't wait to see what you've done with it.
On a phone screen. It's going to be awesome. All right, so
that's how everyone watches it. Yes, let's
Angus,
do it.
if you can pull it up, and we're gonna.
Hey, Jamie, pull the clip.
Yeah, Jamie, pull the clip. We're gonna like do some pauses and talk about some of the scenes and all of that shit.
I loved that one, the bird's eye view.
Yeah, that
the
one.
Checkered tiles, so stylish.
So like we've just opened it. This is like the title card. I don't think it's the first shot. This is the YouTube title card.
Yeah.
That is just you lying down on the checkerboard.
You look
that
stunning.
was such a chore to shoot.
It was a fucking pain in the
So
ass.
we didn't have like a tripod that could aim straight down with the Blackmagic camera.
Not one that can hold that humongous camera.
That literal brick of a camera. And so it ended up being me and Avelina leant back against a chair with a monopod stretched out, and the monopod was on the chair like horizontal, and we've just got it held down like toes out of the shot. Like
I think we're kind of taking turns as well. Like
yeah,
we
were.
Really
Sucked. I had it on my shoulder at one point. You were pulling focus.
Yeah, it was definitely teamwork.
Arm day. It's like pretty dodgy setup and required like a fuckload of
To be fair, you didn't help. You were just fucking lying there looking pretty.
Yeah. But it took a lot of stabilization, but I'm like super stoked on how that scene actually, like it turned out really, really, really clean. Despite the fact that like you guys are like basically trying to hold it while like pretty much like going, well, there's my like arm reps for the month. Like
I remember you thinking as well that it wasn't like a terribly important scene, and it ended up being quite significant.
Yeah, it was a bit of a just sort of throwaway. Like I wouldn't say throwaway, but it was like definitely not a scene that I was like, yeah, this will be a major thing.
I love that though. That seemed to happen a lot where like, and you need that freedom within when you're filming, where you're like, oh, we have a direct vision, and then you stray from that, and sometimes that straying actually gets you something better than the original vision.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. Every time you do like videos and stuff, like and you guys have probably noticed this about
Continue.
Sorry.
the camera can see you.
Yeah, I know. This is just going to be like...
talking quietly.
He's just
It's gonna
talking
be
real quietly.
Blur over it.
It's
So
just
it's really sus.
Yeah.
This
It'd
isn't
be funny
behind
as
the
hell. Yeah, we'll do
scenes.
that.
What
You
did they
just
just
like
say?
punch into us being like, well, you're still talking.
But like I found Savior, especially like all of the creative process, like even the art and stuff was obviously like made after the video and was based on the visuals inside of the video. Found that like not having having a plan so that you're able to get like 2 or 3 things that look good and it's not total chaos is a good idea, but like just letting things kind of unfold in the moment and having enough room to do so, I think is like such an important part of creating that. Like, I don't know. I think this shoot and everything to do with this song, because like obviously in my previous band Traces, like we try and plan stuff out, and there'd be like a little bit of improv, but it'd be like you'd have to plan everything out. This time it kind of taught me that, like, hey, there's some cool stuff that you can get from shoots and from recordings and whatnot, that like sometimes you don't need to plan it, and it can be a pivotal moment. I guess it's kind of like a vocal recording. Like when you're recording vocals, sometimes the way you perform it isn't how you planned on, and it's not how it sounds in your head, but the engineer's like, yeah, that was sick, that's the one.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck, that's
Yeah,
it's not what I had in mind.
Exactly. And through that exploration as well, you actually end up finding, what am I doing wrong? Let's actually
Speak
talk about this.
at the microphone.
Speak out. What am I doing? Am I holding it like that?
So you're like turning towards Jack and going like that.
Oh, okay.
So just turn the microphone with you.
Right.
Just move, because there's not much noise.
be like
Yeah,
water.
and because they're
like water.
because they're
I don't know where my lips are.
they're
clearly.
57s.
Point directly.
They like that proximity effect too. So you got to get right up on it.
You gotta like give us a little.
Because down here doesn't really work.
It's not
You
gonna
just have
do.
to you have to
Yeah.
imagine you're like a metalcore vocalist
All right.
who
Like you
doesn't
using
know
your
how to
7,
hold a
but
mic properly.
Eat it. Eat the mic.
Yeah.
You want me to eat
Yeah.
the mic?
just pretend it's that thing. Like you do.
You
at
got to be
home,
right up
and then-
close.
Okay.
Then it's fine.
Got it.
Yeah, like planning stuff out though, like because you did give us like a pretty good run sheet, because it was like, obviously from the previous one that Avelina and I had worked on.
Angus was there too.
Not for the first one, not for the first go around.
No. We were there for the first Traces one.
I was talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Ghost in the Shell.
Avelina's
Yeah,
show.
Avelina's.
Okay,
Okay, so we're
Avelina's
talking
shoot,
about Avelina's one.
yeah. Like not having everything laid out for you, like in terms of like the very specific things that you absolutely need done, like that, it just devolves into chaos, and you kind of like, you get a mixed match of vision between whoever's holding the camera and you, and then whoever's kind of like guiding it, whether if those are separate people or not, you know. So having a well thought out idea, and you know the few specific things that you really want to nail, like definitely helps guide like the whole kind of experience, right? Like throughout the shoot, like it's like, okay, I want this shot, and while you're trying out those shots, all of a sudden it's like a new idea comes up, and it's like, oh, we can do that. And just like being able to be flexible whilst, you know, having a pretty well laid out plan is so much better than just kind of winging it.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of like it's a good idea to have a plan, and it's okay if it doesn't go to plan. But if you don't have a plan, it's just like it's not good. But yeah, I definitely found like printing stuff out and just having a shot list for videos like really, really, really made a world of difference, especially for like even if you don't get every single thing shot, it's like it just helps you prioritize like the shots that you are planning on doing, and it helps you kind of, I think the thing is like it helps everyone else understand like what the hell you were thinking, because like no one knows.
I think that you've
what
hit
you're
the
thinking.
money like there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I found as well. Like to get out of our head what our vision, our creative vision is, to the team that we're working with. And I think that's where writing it down on paper and having these conversations, sorry, I'm a slow learner, is really fucking important. Just pushed it into my mouth. I'm sorry, I don't like things in front of my face. What can I say? I'm a
Well,
lady.
it's going to be less away in your face if you like turn it with you, because now it's constantly blocking the camera.
I forgot my train of thought, but yeah.
We were talking about
It was a very optimistic schedule, though. You were like, "I want
Yeah.
this done by 8,"
Yeah.
and we were past that before
did-
we started.
I did kind of like something that I've always had going into every single thing that I do is like always have a list of more things than what you are then more things than what you can get done, because something's not going to work out of that list that you have. So like I always like the way I try to look at it is like, say if I've got a bunch of shots, or I don't know, like if I had a limited time in a studio recording music or something, I'd be like, here's all of the things I want to do, and then I'd pick like the main things that I'm like, I think these things are going to be like if I don't get these, I'd be really, really sad. And then the rest of them are sort of just like, well, you know what, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. But yeah, like that list was pretty optimistic about it.
It was really optimistic. But hey, at least this time, without mentioning names, we had at least a squad of camera operators that understood what shutter speed was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone watching this might know what we're talking about.
And I hope you're ashamed.
I think, I mean, mind you, like everyone's always learning stuff. I think it's just like, I don't know, if anyone watching is like interested in filming their own videos or doing any kind of video work, 3 things you need to learn is just your shutter speed, ISO, and I think it's called focal length. I don't even know what it's called. I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Aperture, that's it.
4 things.
There's a
Focal
lot.
length.
Yeah.
Focal length is very important.
But okay, the 3 things: aperture, like basically just how much light you're having going into the camera. If you learn those 3 things, you'd like.
It's a nice little donut, is the way to think of it. So, like for a perfectly lit shot, you need a full circle of light, and in order to get that, there is an amount of light that you have in the shot. There is an amount of light that is stopped by the aperture, and so that sort of segment of the donut shrinks and increases. Well, it shrinks as the aperture gets higher and increases as it gets lower.
It was more like a pie chart.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
a pie chart. It's filling a circle.
Yeah.
And so you've got a certain amount of light that you need, and then the aperture, which also affects your creative vision because it like reflects how much like depth of field there is in the shot. Because like a lower aperture, you're going to have that cool effect where like you're just getting the face in focus and everything behind it's blur.
That like cinema thing, but then it comes at the cost of, which we found out the hard way. It comes at the cost of if your subject is moving a little bit.
Oh, they're gone. They're gone in a
You're
heartbeat.
gonna have a really hard time filming.
Yeah, and there's some of the trials and tribulations that we went through. And
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about here, sorry to cut you off there, but is having people that have certain strengths. And I think when we come together as a team, we each have certain strengths.
Yeah.
The previous video clip that we were kind of mentioning where it didn't go to plan, my first video clip for one of my first singles.
Certainly a good learning experience.
It was a learning, it was a costly one for me and everyone involved. But I think the key there is to know like your strengths and work with them within them. Like if you can film your own music video clip, but if you don't know about certain apertures or you don't have the cameras or something, get people involved that do know that stuff so you can get to where you need to be.
And even if you have people that supposedly know the things about said thing, you might have to do it again anyway.
As we found out. And maybe do a little trial. There's a little test. Like I wish I had have known that. Like rather than just jumping into this huge project that involved a lot of people and cost me a lot of money, I did a little project with someone and they delivered, and it was probably within their realm of capability. And it was very different. It was more like a wedding style like photo shoot, and he did really well at that. But when I took him out of his expertise, it kind of fell apart. Yeah. And I didn't know that until we went and we did it, and that was unfortunate. And we learnt a lot from that.
I think that's kind of a thing though with like a lot of creative things is I feel like you're in one of 2 camps, which is either you make whatever happens work or you just don't. And like I think there's like a certain amount of I don't even know if you would call it experience, but I don't know, I've done a fair few things before where it's like you go in, it's like you're well out of your comfort zone, you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you still manage to walk out the other side with something, but it's because you have like a really, I guess like you've got the ability to learn and the willingness to learn and the eye for detail to notice like, hey, I'm shooting this thing or I'm recording this song or mixing this thing or doing this or writing this or whatever, and something doesn't look right or something just it's not making the cut, and being able to like kind of humble yourself, go, this is cool, but it's not where it could be, and I feel like we could get a little bit more out of it and actually taking the time to figure out what that is and adjust it. And I think there's just certain people that don't do that by default, who don't like, I guess like they go through a lot of stuff that they do.
It's a lot like tech support, right? Like some of us are very astute at being able to like break down an issue and go, okay, we can try this, this, and this. If it doesn't work, then you know, I might be at the end of my experience, or it's like, okay, there's a few other things we can try or whatever. But it's, you know, like I think the difference in being able to break apart a problem and, you know, just kind of like work through it is, it is a measure of experience, obviously. And
it's a skill in of itself.
It is, and like without taking it personally, right? It's not me saying, hey, you're fucked. It's like, there's this little thing, how can we get through it? Because it's not really on par with my vision. And like, I've worked with a lot of people where they've taken that creative criticism and it's just like creative direction. And
especially when, you know, you are kind of bringing this project to fruition and you have this very specific idea in your head of what you want, and some people don't get it, right? Like if you said, okay, I want to do this music video and I want to do this, this, and this in it, and like the vision that they get in their head is not the same as yours, and then you tell them that that's not what I want, it's like that is a conflict for them. So, you know, obviously, like it is basically comes down to, you know, surrounding yourself with people that, like, you know, like will be able to be a sounding board and go, okay, like, yeah, like, oh, I thought you wanted to do this, and like, you know, you can find where the compromises are, and you can find where the, like, yeah, that's not what I want, like I wanted to do it like this, and they go, oh yeah, okay. Like, and just, you know, be able to be flexible and understand that, like, you know, as a part of a team, you aren't necessarily the person whose creative vision it is. So, you know, being able to, you know, have that little bit of, what's the word? Not being humble, but, you know, being able to like take yourself out of
being aware that there's many moving parts, right?
Yeah, like being able to take yourself, like your ego out of the equation, and, you know, you're someone that is working on a set kind of thing, but like you are working together at the same time. So like everyone's opinion kind of matters, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, if the vision in your mind is not the same as the camera person's, and they take offense to that, then it's like, obviously, you know, you come into some problems.
Like, I've been involved in three of the projects out of 4 so far, and like first one was your shoot with Traces, and I didn't know you that well then, and I shut my mouth and I didn't like offer any input. I just stood there and did what I was told. And as I grew to know you and slowly learned the vision that you wanted to achieve, when it came to like that second shoot, like I was able to offer a hand on like how a shot could look and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, is understanding and spending the time to know, like we're lucky enough that it's like we all spend enough time with each other that like you kind of know what everyone, to an extent, like not every single time without fail, but I feel like generally speaking, you sort of you get the idea of what people are after. But I think if you're ever doing like video work, especially outside of like your own circle of like friends or whatever, I feel like it's a good idea to figure out a way to get the vision out of the client, or get the vision out of the person who you're doing the stuff for. Like when we were shooting your video, that was something like the second time that I got shot, we had a similar thing where like the vision that I had in my head for it was totally different to the vision that you had in your head, and neither of them were wrong, but it's like, it's your video, and because I didn't know what your vision was, I was like, yeah, this looks sick, like this looks dope. But then to you, you're like, oh, this isn't what I'm after though.
Yeah, like, no, exactly. It wasn't bad. It was just different.
Yeah,
and
it's
now
just
we
a
know
different
that
thing.
we need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know, to have them when it's sort of like, it's hard to know what, I wouldn't say to have them, but what actually to say or what actually to ask or to what to put down on the table when you're trying to figure out like, okay, so like what are you after with this, because like I remember we were talking a hell of a lot about angles, but we never
didn't ask the right questions, did we? We didn't talk about aperture or like
it's super interesting. Like
I think exposure for us was a big thing.
The white balance.
White balance. But I mean that's the thing. Like I have a particular exposure and white balance that I just like. It's basically just rips off like every single early 2000s like action movie that there is. But it's like that's like a look that I like to go for and everything. But it's not a look that everyone wants to go for and everything. Like you prefer stuff that's a bit more brighter and colorful and. Like not colorful as in like bright and happy, but it's like the colors are stronger and they're richer and they're bolder versus everything I do. I prefer like a bit of a muted, like I try to reduce the amount of colors down to
so in that regard, we're very different. I'm like very in love with like, and always have been, Francis Ford Coppola. His cinematography and like Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves is like just something I've styled my whole house on, like the mix of really vibrant, bright colors, but always in with deep blacks. And I totally see that. But I adore your style as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like everyone digs each other's style.
Yeah.
It's just it's getting it across. The bit that's hard is getting it across to other people so other people know. Like what the fuck you have in your head,
and bringing that back full circle to where the conversation started, like having that printed on paper, like if you have like a mood board or you have a color palette, and being able to give that out to everyone that's working on the set with you, go, okay, it looks like the Matrix. But I like. There's a difference between you telling me that and me seeing that represented on a piece of paper with actual physical props in a photo versus you just telling me that, because my vision of the Matrix, like again, it's all down to that subjective, like personal opinion about things. So yeah, again, like having that little forethought to have it a bit planned out and go, okay, this is the kind of look that I want, makes a huge difference, like in your like cohesion as a team working together.
Well, example with that, like the Matrix, it's like I could say, oh yeah, I want something to look similar to the Matrix, and in my head it might be green, but in your head it might be blue because you think that all the like futuristic Nebuchadnezzar shots and all of that is like that's what made that movie to you or something.
Whatever your like personal like favorite bit of the Matrix is.
That's
like,
that's what you think of.
And what I'm hearing here is that 2 out of 4 people at this table have existences styled after Keanu Reeves media. And actually it's 4, because I know Connor has at least 6 cardboard cutouts of Keanu Reeves in his bedroom, and I have a bus that could explode at any moment.
This is a pretty pretty truthful thing.
I looked right at the camera when that applause came on. Hey, shall we put the video on? I'd
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
to
we'll
see
put
it.
That was one hell of a tangent.
That was a tangent.
Holy shit.
Let's
Back
have a
to
gaze.
it.
Oh, he
Alright,
looks
so-
so beautiful.
Thanks.
The
Cool,
bed.
that's so cool. That we
with
get
the
an idea
lightning.
for this. I shouldn't have said that. Oh well.
Yeah, how dare I set this up?
We can cut that out.
interject when you want.
Yeah, and anyone can pause
just
it when
press
they're
the pause.
I love that crucifix. Where did you find that from?
Oh, first pause point. So while we're on the topic of like that whole thing of improvising things.
That was
becoming-
improvised. You were like,
the cross.
dude,
Yeah.
I need your cross. I was like, fucking yeah, all right. Don't even tell me why. Just take it.
It's so funny because like it's such a like a major part of the imagery of all of the single, and it is like a total like accident moment. Like like not an accident, but it was totally like it was something that I came up with because I couldn't pull off like what I was thinking. So like originally on the back wall of that building, I was thinking about putting like some weird like painting of something or like a mirror or something that had like cool effects happening on it or something like that. And I I'll be honest, I just wasn't organized and I didn't get something sorted for it. And I was like, it was like the last minute and I was like trying to think of something and I was like, what would look cool on that wall? And I remembered you had crosses, like those like neon crosses in your house. And I was like, oh, that'd look sick. So I hit you up and was like, hey, can you chuck that in? And then seeing that in the video was like, that's cool. Like, let's make some art around that. And then it became like a whole thing, which is so crazy because when I went into it, like I had a totally different art idea, a totally different, like totally different video idea. Like there was no cross at all. It wasn't at all in the visual imagery. And now it's like, I would say it's like one of the major things. Which is
Yeah, and also
kind of
the theme, like the sepia, I wouldn't say sepia, but the dulled deep blue with the red, and then you've got that at the beginning. Like I feel like it kind of set up a theme.
Amazing contrast, like
Astounding.
which reflects the deeper meaning of the song.
I like that.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to remember about that shot specifically with the wall is we spent like 3 hours really pissed off at 2 lights. We had lamps either side. The bulbs in them didn't have matching white balance.
Even though we had literally gone to JB Hi-Fi.
No. We went to JB Hi-Fi. We figured out the bulbs didn't have white balance. We went back to JB Hi-Fi and bought Philips Hue bulbs and set them to red.
I think the other thing though is that when I was looking at the shot, and this is like something that I do in all of my like shit that I like videoing, that made no sense, but anyone watching it, you'll know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Is like when we were looking at it, there was the lamps were a different color to the cross, and like it felt like there was too many colors in the scene, and like there wasn't like something I like to do in everything that I shoot is I always try and reduce everything down to like 1 or 2 colors. Like obviously there's more than 1 or 2 colors in a scene. It's not like black and white or just like straight green or yellow or something, but it's like I try to reduce the amount of visual information that there is, and like the lamps are like orange and
one
white.
was like roughly 58 and the other was about 38.
Yeah, it was
on the Kelvin.
Yeah, you definitely made it look cooler.
Yeah, it looked
was a
cheap
lamp
as
It
shit
didn't.
before.
It
was
looked
the
like
ceiling
too
light.
busy,
Yeah,
like color palette wise.
Yeah.
But like I could see like that it was going to be cool, and that's like a post editing thing. That's hard as well because sometimes when you film it, it's like there's just too much going on here, and then it makes you kind of doubt shit. But you like that's another process that we need to talk about, like post color grading and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
For the creative vision, because like this looks nothing like what it did
When we
out
shot
of the
it.
camera.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's I'm excited to see more.
Keep going with it.
Yeah, let that.
Let me
Avelina
fucking watch
the
it without
video.
these fucking you're teasing me here. God damn it.
We've got the first verse.
Even the red there, like look at that theme of like it's from the cross, right? But it's giving you that like blue and red theme.
Yeah. So lame thing. So this was like the last. Well, it wasn't the last shot, but it was the last shot that we shot on the night.
We went
Yeah.
to fucking bed.
Yeah, we left.
Yeah. No
So
one.
I'm out here,
It
man.
was like what was it, like 2 a.m. or something like that when we left?
Yeah.
Oh, it was about 12. It wasn't that late. It
No.
was.
Doesn't seem like
it
fucking
was
4
like-
a.m.
We'd been there for a while, but
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have been there for ages. Like you got there pretty early during
It's
the
like
day. It was
in
about
the
12.
afternoon, yeah.
It was about like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning when you guys all left, and then this shot was shot at around.
Last thing you did.
Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did you come back?
Jesus.
No.
Nah.
No.
No.
So yeah, I was by my I had Gabe and Aim in there with me, and Gabe kind of just like chilled out. Oh, and like Jenna was there as well, but like the people who helped on that specific shot, Eamon was like sort of sitting behind me with like with a light just like flashing it on and off, and Gabe was just like sitting in the hallway, making sure that the red light that we had, because it was like USB powered, like didn't like unplug or anything like that. But yeah, like last shot on the night, it was like a really simple one to put together. And again, it's another shot that I had like a specific plan for, and it didn't work out the way I planned, so I had to kind of improvise something at the last second, and it wound up being like a major shot in the video.
Connors actually just had like a Parcan die, and it was we used a Parcan for lighting this, and we just sort of flicked it on and off. And I'm wondering if maybe this is the cause, just power cycling the damn thing.
I don't
constantly.
No,
think so.
it wasn't that. It was like it was like a cheap light we had from Bunnings that we were
Yeah,
Oh,
using
you
for
used
the
a
light.
different
Bunnings.
one for that
Yeah,
shot.
Yeah.
yeah. You guys weren't even there. I think you guys had already packed up by that point.
Yeah.
Remember, right? there.
That's very effective.
I kind of wish I did something though where like I put my hammer through the mirror. Neo mode.
Do you want to hear me eat?
No.
ASMR.
The Balenciaga meme in the middle there.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like very emo.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that shoot. With that specific day with like the lighting in the windows.
Yeah,
Noctica,
that
your depression is cured by Balenciaga.
It's very like it's like a crow moment.
that shot turned out way cooler than
I was so worried I buggered it up with the because Gabe and I were just like sitting there very like I was like jammed up next to the lounge and Gabe was just chilling on the other lounge like and we were both just flicking these Bunnings lights on and off at the PowerPoint like to get this lightning effect and it was like so hard to time it properly between the two of us because obviously with lightning obviously light propagates so you get one going off in one area but then obviously the intention is there's a window somewhere else or a doorway somewhere else so like the light also then comes through that space so like we're kind of like one of us is going and then the other's going and then like we're switching and like trying to keep it in time and it's like oh no are we doing it too much oh no is it to the beat too much it's very hard to replicate lightning with a PowerPoint switch.
I remember on the first take that we did of that, you guys were just like absolutely spamming the shit out of it. Like it was less of lightning and more like a
strobe,
like a rave almost. Yeah, but that shot was.
Cut.
Yeah, that's something that's getting cut for sure. Welcome back to so yeah, that shot was really interesting. The only bit out of that shot that I wish we'd figured out to do was like some kind of like rain effect.
Yeah, the rain.
That was something that I wish we maybe sat down and did, but I don't think it was 100% necessary. I think it would have added a bit of moodiness to it.
A little bit, like it would have added that extra little bit of movement, I think. Like having and like you get all that refraction through obviously water splashing onto the glass.
Yeah.
We kind of emulated that a little bit.
A little bit.
Not
I was
quite.
out in the goddamn cold, just emptying a full pump bottle between every shot onto those windows.
And if you are one of the lucky enough viewers to have seen the behind the scenes video,
you'll see it.
You'll see that. So
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
It wasn't too
Maybe
bad.
don't.
It wasn't too bad. It turned out really, really cool though.
I'm glad you couldn't really see the smudges that Angus had put on that window.
Yeah.
By trying to wipe off said water, he just sprayed onto it.
Yeah. Oh, it turned
I
out
don't
really sick.
remember that.
Yeah, no, I got up here for it.
Alright.
Block it out because I got up here for it.
That was cool.
What was cool?
The little flash of the savior up on the TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of that was like done in
the
post.
VHS thing's dope.
And this, like, I just feel like you're in a coffin, like just with your arms being crossed like that.
Well, it's super funny because I remember showing you this shot. What's it called? Let me just leave the pause. Like I remember showing you that like the floor shot. I think just like as I was editing it, and you were like, "Oh, that looks really cool." And when I was like, "Oh yeah, like all the lightning's like digital and stuff," you're like, "Oh yeah." there wasn't lightning like during it, and it's like, yeah, like there's just so much, like as you said, it's like it's so different to how it was shot and everything. Like it looks way different, which is kind of interesting because it's like the amount of stuff that you can do in post to change the look of how something's filmed. Sometimes it's really hard to see, or like, I don't know, sometimes it's really hard to like get the vibe of what it's actually like going to be when you're like filming it, because sometimes you got to film stuff that doesn't look exactly right to be able to manipulate it the right way in post, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting point. It's like, lightning's all digital, and yeah, that is like probably the shot that does not look a single thing like how it was in the original.
Because it was like waist to slightly above head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
And
you gave
like-
us a very specific like reference shot for that.
Yeah.
When we were setting up like the flowers and the knives and things like that. We were
Yeah.
looking at one from a movie.
It was the Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. It was Suicide Squad.
It was that shot was
You gotta year
aesthetically
date that.
pleasing.
You have to put that
The
up
movie
now,
wasn't-
so
the
like,
movie
people
wasn't, yeah,
can
but
reference what you're talking about. And
but yeah, but like I remember shooting it, and even like before sitting down and editing this, like I wasn't originally intending on it being like a nighttime lightning kind of shoot scene, but like just editing them together, like when the day, like I wouldn't call it daytime, but just like the regular version of that shot came in, it just looked like it looked really jarring and like super weird because everything else is like nighttime, and then you just have this random like really bright like well lit shot. It just didn't make any sense. So
But like I suppose too, something you typically don't think about is lighting a scene so that you can then make it darker in post is super important as well. Like obviously stylistically lighting it is super important, so you get shadows where you want them and that kind of thing. But just having enough clarity in the video that you're capturing so that you can then like go, okay, I've put that in my timeline and it doesn't match anything else, but like I can bring it down so it looks like everything else is super now having done that once or twice now, it's like, yeah, okay, like maybe it's something we think about for future, like is just one of those little tidbits that you probably don't think about, and then all of a sudden it's really important for like major establishing shots in the second half of the video.
yeah,
Did you shoot this in B-roll or was it in?
it was in ProRes.
It was in ProRes.
Yeah.
So you didn't have as much control over the white balance or anything in post.
No, yeah, I still was able to
Well,
adjust
obviously
the white
there's
balance
what you
a
can
little bit.
adjust,
Yeah.
but not as much flexibility in it.
Yeah, it was enough for what I wanted to do with it. Like, mind you, I got everything looking, I would say 90% of the way there in camera with like the LUTs that were in the camera. So it's like it already looked like if I had to use what was in the camera in the video, it would have looked like pretty cool still.
And that's a coming back to having a vision and having a color palette in mind and having a mood and atmosphere in mind, like being able to pull that off almost all the way in camera so that on the night or on the day when you're filming, you can go, okay, like that's what I want, and not going, and like, and go, okay, like I can edit that, like just knowing that it looks like how you want it to look.
Yeah.
And like the editing and the color grading after is not like this massive Herculean effort to like
Fix it
and get it where you want it, like is I think also another super important thing.
Yeah.
Like if it looks how you envision it, like just hitting record and like it's like, yeah, I think that's super important.
yeah, editing will be a breeze, and
Yeah.
I think each time we work together too, we'll have all of these topics in mind, and even just this conversation that we're having now is going to make us better. The next
Yeah,
project we
'cause-
work on
'cause
is
We've actually probably not had a debrief after a lot of these video shoots. It's just like do the
On to the next
something
one.
we said we
Yeah.
should have. Hey, we were talking about that. We were literally saying we need to get the four of us together, get some fucking pizzas, and just be like, hey, fucking, like there's a lot of shit that I felt I fucked up,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying people fucked it up, but just like, hey, this is like what I felt I can improve on. Let's
Yeah.
all do that and fucking grow from that.
because
you
it's
know?
I think, yeah, like talking about it now, it's like I don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
That was
Were
months
you like
ago.
really high?
No,
What
that
do
was
you
just
mean?
months ago. Like that,
Right.
that felt like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
You know, like so. I
You're not really high.
Can't say.
I think like, and that's a team thing. You know, like being able to have a group where you can go, okay, like we'll sit down afterwards and actually have a conversation about like, oh, like this is how I felt doing this, and this is how I felt doing this, and oh, we could have done this or whatever. I also
I'm
pretty
all for that, man.
yeah,
It's like a
this-
very spiritual approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like at that point we need to leave our egos at the door and really focus on each other's strengths and even our weaknesses, but from a place of love and being
Yeah.
like, hey, dude, like I think you fucked this up a little bit. I fucking love you to death.
But-
We've
but-
had that conversation, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, respectfully to each other.
Yeah.
And we'll do it less with each time, but
It's not so much like I always find it's not so much it's not like a you fucked up. It's like, hey, there's this thing that you weren't aware of
Yeah.
on the shoot that you were just going about it in the way that you saw fit. I saw something or you saw something that wasn't seen, and it's not something you would have been able to pick up until post shoot. And the only way that you're going to change it is by like looking at it post shoot. I don't know, like for example, like I remember on the shoot I was like really, really, really fucking stressed for I wouldn't say no reason, but like I remember
staunching around.
yeah, like just staunching around. I was really I was just really stressed out because I'm so used to every video that I shoot being like just like I'm used to being like crunched on a clock, like it gets up to my shots in the music videos that I've shown in the past, and it's like everyone starts looking at their watches, and it's like it's sort of like fuck, I need to nail this performance in one go because like I've only got one take to get every single shot that I need. While I've done like 20
We've
takes
already
for
set
everyone
off the
else kind of
smoke
thing.
alarm twice.
Yeah,
I'm
kind of thing.
I'm taking too much time getting changed.
Yeah.
It's
that's hard, man.
yeah, but it's stuff like that where like you get stressed out because you like I just remember I was getting stressed out, and I realized that the reason I was getting stressed out was just all of this crap in my head, because like you guys are like, oh yeah, we'll bolt off sometime around 12, but like in my head, because I'm so used to being like super crunched and super like like, hey man, like since we're like shooting your stuff now, I think I might head off in 5 minutes from now, like and it's like great, there goes like that, like not like just on some previous shoots that I've done and stuff, like it's been a little bit like that just because like people finish their shit, so they're just like, yeah, fuck it, we'll leave.
yeah, and anything else that you probably
Need them
wanted to
for.
do and needed them for
Can't be done now.
Shit, like they're gonna go, so I better rush. And
That's the
and just,
difference of
like,
working with a team, right? That aren't like in it for the money. Like we're not doing this for the fucking paycheck. It's like we have a creative vision.
well,
you know?
it's forget about the money thing. Even it's just like I've dedicated my day to do this, so like I don't care how long it takes because I'd also like to see it done well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
there's that difference. It's like
Yeah.
even if you were paid, like it's wanting it done well and having this shared vision and working together as a team. And I think in some of the other projects that we worked on, it was like clock on, clock off.
yeah.
And it was really awkward and really uncomfortable.
And that's not to say that you might get those like more corporation work where you're doing it for a business or a brand or something where it's like, okay, the talent is showing up for X amount of hours and then they're leaving, like for that kind of work, then yeah, like you got to be on the ball. But for us as a kind of group and a team working on stuff together, like I think just being able to rely on the fact that we're all there to do the thing like alongside each other, like and not create an environment of stress. Like
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like
Being
we're
fun
there
as
to
you're doing it.
yeah we're there to see it through. So like as long as it's fun and like we're getting it done, like
Well, that was very different from me, like to AB two shoots where like 2 of the 3 people here were involved. The first one to the second one, holy shit, so
Yeah.
different. The energy, like to
Yeah.
just have one person in the team who unfortunately was the main person, just make us all feel so kind of uneasy. And it was nothing was said as well. It was just like
It just yeah, like if someone has that, like it's just that negative energy, like I'm here from this moment until this moment and no more, otherwise it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. I don't really want to be here.
that was the
but,
vibe.
like,
Bingo.
yeah,
It didn't
like-
really. Yeah, when we do a project, like I'm not at all. Like I would have if you needed me till 6 a.m. I would have fucking stayed, and I think any
Yeah.
of us
Yeah,
would have as well.
absolutely.
You know, that's super.
Like
important. I love you
ideally,
guys.
I'd like to not keep you there, guys.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
I
I
like
think
that too.
that's why I personally was stressing, because I really didn't want to create that scenario of like it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, oh, I just need to get this one more shot, and everyone's like, come on, man. Like,
Well, I think it's really funny because I've just seen a mate from school who was a year or so below me, who is a videographer, photographer in
Yeah.
Newcastle. She was just on a shoot yesterday, and it's that same thing, you know, you rock up at like 12 p.m. and you're there until 2 a.m. and it's like, it gets a long slog, but you're still there and you're still having fun, like regardless. It's like, yeah, that same thing, like I'd rather see it through and see it done well and accomplish the vision of the project than like stress anyone out, because it's like, oh, sorry, you've only got me until 8 p.m. Like,
yeah.
and then I'm leaving.
yeah,
whether
or
you need
it's
me or
like
not.
it's triple time. Sorry.
or on top of that too, the thing of like you want to see the final thing turn out like good and right, not being like, oh, you know what, like I'm happy cutting corners just so that I can like go home 5 minutes early and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that anyone should like stick around forever and ever and ever. Like I think something else that's really important too is when you're sitting down, and like at least something I've learned from this is like having the ability to kind of do some stuff yourself and prioritize certain shots, so that like, for example, that bathroom scene, like technically I didn't need anyone else to do that except for someone to flash that light.
Yeah.
And really I could have done it without that flashing light. I could have just done that in post or done something. Like it's better if obviously you've got the practical effect, but like there's ways that I could have done that entirely on my own. So is it really worth making everyone stay for me to shoot a shot in the bathroom on a tripod or by myself? It's like, it doesn't really make sense. Or like the shots that were shot in the room over there that like weren't even shot in the same house that we shot the original thing in. Like, it's like no one needs to be there for that. Like you know.
That comes back to having a plan in mind, and like, you might have your list of shots that you need to get, but again, being able to be flexible and being able to prioritize certain scenes and certain shots that you absolutely need, and you absolutely need everyone that's on that set with you there for, and then being able to go, yeah, like, okay, everyone can go home now. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I can sort the rest out by myself, or like it's not even happening here right now, so I don't need you all here. Like, like, but it's, yeah, having that tangibly on paper to say, like, this is a list of things I need. These are kind of like, if we get them, we get them. And then this is like low priority. It'd be really cool if we got them, but I'm not pressed if we get them today, or I can do them at home.
Yeah. It's a it's kind of it's a good way of going about things. I think is just like being able to prioritize and lists and just putting everything on paper and having some, like, the plan doesn't even have to be like, okay, we're going to get a mid shot of blah blah blah. It can literally be like, it can be something as simple as like, look, we're going to have this scene, I'm just going to light it like roughly like this, we're going to have the band play, and we're just going to spend an hour or two just getting whatever angles that we can and anything that pops up into our minds of like what is cool to shoot. But just knowing like, okay, it's the, like, say it's a band shot, we're gonna do 2 cameras of coverage, so I'm gonna need an extra camera person, and there's a flashing light in it, so someone needs to be there to flash the light, and the band has to be there for the whole thing. Like, instead of
Yeah, you
like,
can't break it apart.
you know, instead of everyone getting there on the shot, and then you've got like this, say, I don't know, like a solo shot where the singer is sitting in a chair in a room looking out of a window going, just singing out the window or something like that. Like, you don't need the rest of the band or all this like massive crew to do that. So it's sort of like, I think being prepared and being able to prioritize really helps shoots. And what really does help shoots too, though, is like having people at the shoot that actually are helping you with what's going on and delegating jobs correctly and everything. I found that as like well, not that I wasn't stressed at the video, but I was definitely not stressed in the ways that I could have been, and like wasn't having to worry too much about like even like little things. Like there was a point during it where like I'm a massive control freak when it comes to like camera settings and all of that stuff and angles, and it's like I need to check back every piece of footage. I remember there was like it would have been around that window shot where I just went, I don't care. Like, I'm sure it's good. Like, if there's something really dope that you want to show me to hype me up about it, so that I can be like, yeah, this is sick. Like, I'm having a good time, like kind of thing. Sure. But like, I trust that you've gotten a cool shot out of it, which for me is like really rare because like I'm like I mean, you experienced me at, that Traces shoot where you did some stuff where it's like I need to see every single shot and triple check everything looks right.
Yeah.
In your defense, you had just met me, so
Yeah.
And that was a shoot where you more did everything like by yourself. And I think this is the first one where you essentially let people in, and that's something I've had to do as well. And God, it felt good. Like it's weird because I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. There's a bit of resistance. Like I'm used to doing everything myself as you are, you know, and it's not that I don't want to work or I can't work in a team. It's just there's a bit of a process that you have to go through to
stepping back a little, even a little bit further than that, to try and beg for a sponsor. We don't have to get a flashing light person anymore. The new ones do that themselves.
Yeah, they have a lightning setting.
Or a paparazzi setting.
Yeah,
I've got a little.
These here, Angus, good investment.
Fucking astounding
Are
stuff.
they like a nano light? I've been looking at
No,
those ones.
they're aperture P60Cs.
Sounds good.
And they're bright.
Amaranth.
They are bright.
This is like a low setting.
I have a migraine at the moment, so
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
We'll be right back after the ad. Whatever ad break that was. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to keep watching this video. If you're still sticking around, thanks for chilling. So where were we up to? We were
The
final bridge.
the bridge. Yeah, this shot was cool. Very cool.
Yeah, turn her up.
Can I just say, I love the little scream there. It's like,
Thanks.
like so,
Raw.
yeah, and it's like super duper, like it's like the only time it happens too. It's like the cool little spice.
Yeah, hell yeah. I had to throw a few screams in.
When you're lying down, you're reaching out to the camera. I find that like very captivating.
Oh, hell yeah. I think that was your idea.
It was.
Thanks.
Have good memory.
Yeah, that was your idea. There's the Balenciaga shot again. So weird thing,
Yeah.
I didn't originally know how like the original ending that I had for this, that bedroom scene that I shot. I was gonna shoot another version of the scene where it was like overhead of me, and then I was gonna have something that like possibly teased like the next song.
Like what Pixar do with their movies and their
You want to create
interconnectedness.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah, but
of
like
Noctica music videos.
I didn't wind up doing it because I just couldn't be bothered filming
Damn.
it.
Watching the
I actually
post-credit sequence of the Noctica
I couldn't
music
figure out how
video.
to because it was like I would have had to lay on the bed, and to do the shot I wanted to do, I would have had to have like somehow have the camera overhead of me, which like doing that with me on a floor is hard enough, but then on top of a bed, I was like,
Yeah, we need like a whole dolly,
yeah,
like
system to do
crane
that.
camera holder.
What
Let's
you're telling me is I
manifest that.
need to buy the tilt-a-float.
That's exactly what we're telling you. Do it now.
You spend the entire day arguing about me.
Yeah,
not spending money.
That's another good little tangent to go down.
Yeah,
is
gear.
Like,
Gear sluts that you two are.
Gear,
Or we four are, really. But I think yous are more slutty than us.
I'm on gear, but that's irrelevant.
Dude, you can't say that.
No one knows what type of gear.
Hey,
He
like,
likes
there's no
Sony.
criticism here.
He likes
you can be into
Sony,
whatever kind of gear you do, you know?
I enjoy, a little bit of like
What do you enjoy?
Canon and like Sigma.
Oh my God.
Here's the
What,
thing.
mixed together?
Yeah. Straight in.
I blush.
The actual tangent though is like gear.
Not important.
Sometimes I think
It's the conversation that Angus and I, well, it was more of a me telling Angus off and telling him to save his money. It is it's super important to as a business, obviously, as creators and stuff, we want a lot of things, but it is super important to figure out what you need.
Love.
Want.
We all want love, but we don't get it. So that's why we're
That's why
solo
we buy
creators
a lot of equipment.
and buy a lot of equipment. Yeah. No,
We're
like
all empty people with lots of equipment.
And you can fill those holes with Sony FX3s.
You can fill, a lot of holes with a lot of our cameras.
lenses. I mean, those lenses. A lot of them are perfectly sized. They just capture the.
What the fuck lenses are you buying?
They're perfectly sized. Some
For-
of them they can stretch out. Some of
I
them
do
they can
enjoy
stretch
that.
out.
Yeah.
I'm glad
And
you
they-
said it because I really want to get the Laowa Periprobe.
But they just
Wow,
a
that
lot of
sounds
them. A lot
very
of them.
adventurous.
A lot of them just really help you achieve the
Hit the
vision
spot.
that you have in your head for that special moment.
If you're putting a lens in holes, you're going to get visions.
Oh,
from
we're just talking about filmmaking. That's it. We're talking about filmmaking. That's
No double talk here at all.
yeah. But I
Sorry, who has the biggest camera?
it doesn't.
Jack has the
no, this
biggest camera.
stupid camera is massive.
Yeah, may I just say your black magic? Fucking little bitch, man. My
It's
wrist was
painful,
sore
hey.
the
So
next day.
painful.
Have you like?
yeah, I thought I nearly dropped it on your face on that
It
scene.
would have been.
Like, you have
it
no
would be
idea.
really nice, like if Angus had just brought his camera inside, but he has a Sony A1, and it is like, it's the flagship, but it is tiny compared to
It is
this
750 grams.
big,
Dang, is
this
she lighter than mine?
this
No.
black
No.
magic's a big bitch.
yeah.
It's true. Who is it that does that song?
There is no song.
The
What do
Scissor
you-
Sisters.
songs
Black
don't
Magic,
By
the big
Scissor
bitch.
Sisters. About liking
New
big
single
women.
by Kanye.
That's definitely. That's definitely not a single.
It's not.
Yeah, but speaking of gear, I think it can be really easy to fall down the rabbit hole of needing to buy new things to make you feel like you're improving as a creative. Like I think that's a really, really, really big trap that we all fall into a fair bit.
I think every photographer should start, and I most certainly did, like on my journey 15 years ago, like with a $150 4 softbox kit off eBay. It was very humble.
You didn't even
And-
use a camera. You just
had the
lit
soft
scenes.
boxes.
Oh, sorry.
It taught me about like key lighting and 45-degree angles, and not working with much, or just sometimes working with one light is a skill as well.
I'll one up you on that one. Bunnings lights.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
God.
done that.
Yeah,
the
how good
party
is it, though?
lights.
It
Yeah, they
Holy
burn
shit.
shit. They're a bit dangerous.
Oh, shit.
The ones I used to use, the $5 party lights, like
What
they
the
get
hell?
hot. But I used them for a lot of my vampire photography, and they were my backlightings, and the models would occasionally singe their hair because they got too close, and that was like a bit of a hazard, but it was all for the art.
It's part of the process.
I'm sort of the opposite opinion right now, especially like photography is a completely different ballgame. But when it comes to video, right now, a lot of companies have made their mid-range astoundingly good, but their low-end cameras are astoundingly bad. And every company is guilty of this. And so when it comes to shooting video, there is unfortunately quite a high entry cost simply because you're not going to get a good looking image or like a good enough image to fulfill your creative vision out of anything under like $1,200 really, because like between readout speed and sensor noise that's just inherent in things like the Canon R50, the R10 even, which is like a pretty decently priced camera. The cheap Sony a6000 series, like the 63 and the 64, while they can shoot 4K video, they've got such a pronounced jello effect on any movement. Nikon have 2 crop sensor cameras, both of which are mediocre at best. And so like when it comes to shooting video, yeah, it's disappointingly costly. This shoot was shot on a Blackmagic, the Pocket 6K Pro, which is not going to fit in any pocket unless it's like a hoodie pocket. I don't
even like a giant
got like jorts.
Yeah,
like
I don't
jorts.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that one. I feel like you can make a really good video with just an iPhone.
I agree with you.
But that's the thing. An iPhone is better than most entry level cameras.
Oh yeah,
Straight
yeah.
up.
But like I think when it comes to video, like instead of someone sitting down going, okay, I can't make a good music video because I don't own a Blackmagic or a good Sony, or like hell, I don't own a Red or an Arri Alexa or something. It's like, I mean, mind you, if you're sitting down questioning whether or not you should film a music video because you don't own an Arri Alexa, like
that's a pretty
an
good
impotence complex you should really address.
No,
with
but that also might be a very good position to be in,
actually.
because it's like you're at that level. Maybe I need an Arri Alexa.
But if you're like a noob, if you're a new, like if you've just gotten into it and you want to shoot and you see like a bunch of people using a certain camera and you're like, I can't get that camera, so I might as well like give up and watch Netflix and die.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
That's what I said, isn't it?
But what I like the cost of entry to like proper camera gear, like to get good stuff that's actually going to make a difference to what you're doing, is high. But I think it's like, I think the point we were more getting across is like, you don't have to feel like you should buy gear just so that you can do it. Like,
you should be able to do it on an
I'm
iPhone.
getting you now.
Yeah, like you should be able to just do it on an iPhone.
That was the conversation I was having with Angus today. Was basically like, you know, in the greater scheme, because we're both DJs, so like our want for gear covers quite a broad spectrum of stuff, whether it being video or photography related, or whether it being speaker related, or whether it being like DJ deck related, or what. Like there is a lot of stuff that we can spend money on that is relevant to like what we're doing and what we're trying to do, whether that be in events or whether that just being in parties or whatever, you know, like there's a lot of things we can spend money on, and it's very important to just like sit down and figure out with yourself, like, okay, what point am I at in my business journey? Because, you know, from a business perspective, it's all about, you know, how much money you're earning, what you are able to afford, and what you know should be aiming for, and what you can afford, and all that kind of thing. So you kind of have to look at it in a pragmatic way where it's like, okay, I don't need 10 subwoofers, or okay, I don't need a Sony Venice 2, because I already own a Sony A1.
Gussie Wanty Venice.
Or hell, like you just own an iPhone.
Yeah. And it's, you know, to come to Angus's defense with the kind of point he was making, I think like in terms of at the professional level of like filmmaking and stuff, like, yeah, obviously all the little nerdy gear specs that make a difference to an image, obviously, yeah, if you're getting up there in your business journey and you're earning decent amounts of money and you're doing pretty high profile client work, or you have a photography studio that is doing quite well, like you need to be worrying about that kind of thing. And that is when
where it makes the difference.
Yeah, that kind of, those specs that you're looking at become a need rather than it would be really nice that my camera does not have horrible green and pink noise through it when you pump the ISO up, you know, like it's like, but it's all about, you know, kind of looking from the objective standpoint in your business journey and in your obviously creative journey. Like, what do I need to fulfill the level of project that I am currently trying to fulfill?
And sometimes the thing that you need isn't necessarily a piece of gear. Sometimes it's actually it's a skill. Like
Education.
like sometimes it is just a skill issue instead. Like I started making all of my videos on an old, like it wasn't even the current of iPhone, it was a couple of generations old. And I downloaded some like app where it allowed you to control like the focal length and
all the
little filmy one
photo camera stuff.
Yeah. So I filmed like the first, it wasn't the first music video, but I did like a guitar playthrough and like a tour diary and a bunch of other like weird little like things that I filmed. And I did that purely just on like my iPhone. And that's like the first thing that I shot with for ages and ages and ages. And then I wound up buying like a really shit Canon camera and did like a music video on that. And like only like I would say like, as horrible as it is, I think the Canon and the iPhone I think what it did is like it pulled a lot of my work down in a way where like it stopped me from being able to get like clients and, well, no, I wouldn't say clients, but like there was a certain point like I got it in the middle, like, well, I wouldn't say like in the middle, right at the end of like where 1080p was perfectly acceptable for a music video. Like I got all my stuff around then, and like maybe a year and a half later, everyone's now pumping out like 2K and 4K videos. So all of my stuff was like completely obsolete by that point. Like you could still do 1080p, but like no one's going to hire you for a 1080p video when there's someone that charges the same for a 4K video just because they bought this like a camera that costs the same but bought it a year later than you. But I think having that gear and being limited to that gear and being limited to things like the like Bunnings lights, like of all things, like really made me have to learn how to
it kind of forces you into that situation where if you aren't using it to the absolute utmost efficiency, you aren't getting the image you want. So like, even though it's a limitation, it pushes you out of the bounds and like it pushes you to, you know, use it as best you can, which means you have to learn how to use it as best you can.
Yeah, and you have to learn things like your composition and all of that stuff, which where I feel like it helps. And I would like, if anyone's getting into film, I would suggest like, even if you have the ability to get a good camera, like, yeah, probably get a good camera, but force yourself to shoot on something that sucks just to see if you can still get the same kind of shots. And if you can get the same kind of shots, but just like when you A and B, like the two cameras together, because we did that on the Ghost and the Shell music video with the shots we didn't shoot at the press, like the ones that we shot like out and about, we brought both cameras and we A and B'd the shots, and we were like, okay, there's like a really big difference between the two, but it's like it was all in the quality of the camera. The image was still exactly the same. It's like you could technically use the one from the Canon, like the old shitty 1080p one for anyone who's watching, but the one we shot on the Blackmagic looked like way cooler. And I feel like at that point, that's where it's like, okay, that's when you know you've skilled up to the point that it's like, yeah, you need to get better gear, because otherwise you're not like, that's the point where you get really good gear, because otherwise you're just like handicapping yourself.
I feel like if taking all this into account, the one thing we can all agree on is use what you have until you are limited by it.
Yeah.
Like all the points that we've made are valid. And so despite the fact that there is that minimum barrier to entry into high-end filmmaking gear, don't worry about it. Use your phone. Use your phone. Use your mum's Nikon that she got 10 years ago. it'll do a job and you will learn things from it. And don't waste money on
until
gear
you need it.
Until you freaking need it. Until you freaking need it, man. Waste it on getting some pizzas for the gang at the shoot. Waste it on some shitty Bunnings lights. Don't buy a crazy camera when you could just be arsing around on your iPhone in front of the fluoro tubing lights that you last saw in a poorly put together office.
That's something else too. Spending money on pizza for the gang. Doing music videos is like either really expensive or you can do it on the cheap. And I feel like...
And pizza is always an expenditure.
Yeah. I feel like there's a really big like, for example, like say the Savior video didn't cost an arm and a leg. Like I think it only cost me $1,500 to hire out the venue that we used, and mind you, that was like for me rehiring it for a reshoot that I shot the album art that didn't end up getting used at and stuff. Actually no, I think it was closer to 1,000. Yeah, it was only about 1,000.
Was that because you set off the smoke and you had to pay for the alarms for the fire
This
brigade?
is Savior.
No, Savior. We're talking about Savior.
At the Airbnb.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the
Sorry, that's
Airbnb.
your Traces one.
Yeah, no,
My bad.
This is the Noctica podcast.
Yeah, my bad. I stepped back in time there.
DLC unlocked.
DLC unlocked. Yeah, but like I think that was like $1,000. I know I swung a bit of money around to help out and like bought pizza and stuff, but like
we didn't want it. It was reluctantly accepted.
but like
I ate all the garlic bread.
yeah,
And Angus ate all the
You do
garlic
like
bread.
your garlic bread.
I had a full stick to myself.
but it's
I
like
ate 2 slices of pizza and then it was gone. It's very upsetting.
I think I ordered like 6 at mine just to satisfy you.
It worked.
I hope it was appreciated.
It was so
Satisfying.
appreciated.
Oh, wow.
But it was
Until I
only
get my...
the video was only like, I think overall, if you include like if you include some of the stuff I had to buy for like outfits and everything like that, I think it was maybe like $2,000, which like maybe to an independent artist that's like a hell of a lot of money, but it's not like, I mean, mind you, like
When you start asking, like, and you've done this on Facebook, made a post asking other musicians, like, what kind of stuff costs them money. When you have a little bit of context, like, if you're spending like $1,000 or like $2,000 on a music video,
that's a win.
And it turns out like the Savior shoot, like, that's insane. You've done that. Well done for doing it like that cheap, because like some artists are spending $5,000 to $10,000 on music videos, and
Mid.
they're just kind of like
That look almost the same.
normal bandy stuff.
Look at I'm Good by Bebe Rexha and David Guetta. That is a mid video.
It probably costs like $100.
It's
Yeah.
probably cost more than my life is worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how you can get the costs down, and I feel like the main reason that I was able to keep all those costs down was because you guys were all able to rock up and help out, and you guys had gear that like allowed me to achieve some things in the shots, and I feel like all it takes sometimes is like a little bit of humility or being able to, again, like get connected with your local community and try and, you know, like use some connections that you actually have instead of like
Did you guys know, did I introduce you? Like, I'm thinking about just what you're talking about and how we were introduced by the local music store. And like I came in as a bit of a lone creative coming from Sydney.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh man, you've got to meet fucking this person. And then we connected, and then I accidentally met you through your beautiful girlfriend.
Yep.
Did you guys know each other? Or?
I think
We'd both known of each other, I think.
I remember you saying like you wanted to work with her.
Yeah,
but
because I know Jack's little brother Harry from high school. We'd been at birthday parties together and stuff like that. So I knew of Jack, and I'd known Traces, of course.
we had a meeting once.
Yeah, we went
before.
and had a coffee after you suggested that we meet up.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh yeah, like I've wanted to like reach out to Jack for ages, and that little push and now here we are.
Yeah, it's nice to reflect upon that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like how, you know, we have kind
And
of
I-
had
I-
our year anniversary.
I
of
shut up.
becoming,
I
like,
fucking
good
shut up.
friends.
I've managed to force Angus upon everyone, like he forced himself upon me.
As long as it's consensual forcing.
The way you say it makes me sound like a predator.
That's very
I'm
predator.
just lonely.
Make it any less sus.
Well, it makes it sad instead of like scary.
Okay, yeah.
But
But
yeah.
very glad we all like came together.
Yeah.
And look how many projects we've worked on over the last year.
Yeah.
And it only has been a year. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
Cut.
Okay, let's keep going.
like yeah, you know, for me to have, you know, as a you know, DJ who was kind of coming out of a friend group and kind of like going, okay, well, I'm just probably going to end up doing this by myself. To have found someone like Angus who is very much like me and, you know, thinks the same as I do and has the same kind of passion for it, and then to have, yes, literally by happen chance meet Avelina and you know, finally be forced to meet Jack. To, you know, come together with people who share the same sort of passion is so relieving, and it gives like a lot of hope for like where it can go, because all of a sudden there's, you know, we're all surrounded by
team.
other people who
Yeah.
we can work with, and we're all sounding boards for each other. And
Right, it doesn't sound so impossible. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of the times I've had that too. Like with my very first video clip, I did it all by myself in my photography studio. Like filmed it myself on a treadmill, walking on heels, sprayed the fucking thing green myself, keyed the whole thing, and it was hard and it wasn't fun. And I remember like thinking like, I can't keep doing this. It was so lonely as well. It's like, yeah, I like working by myself, but it was just so much fun. Let's just talk about that. Like you guys are a lot of fun, and
yourself.
it's so much nicer than working by yourself.
Yeah, because you wind up doing well like with friends, or it's just with other people. It's just significantly more of a positive experience. I think there's something too, is that like sometimes like it's hard to find help and it's hard to find community as an artist or as a creative, or you know, as anyone who does like some kind of creative stuff. It's really, really hard to find that community.
What'd you find?
And I'm gonna do a random pause in this bit.
Looks like you found something. I don't know. Are your ears just sore?
Scratching my ear. I was just scratching my
Oh,
ear because headphones on for.
As I was saying though, it's hard to find a community, and sometimes the help that you need is in the not in the places that you're looking for it. You
Sometimes
know, like,
it's in a lingerie shop. Like,
yeah,
'cause that's to be fair, that's where I met Sarah, who was
Yeah.
like, she just loved my image and was like, "You've got to meet my boyfriend, man. Like, you guys should work together." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then she told me what you do.
videos
and
of the lights and
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it's in a pub. Sometimes it's in a pub.
sometimes it's in a music store, you know. But the moral of the story that you're saying is like, get out there. If you're a creative, get out, go to your local music store, the video store, and talk and ask for help.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, like
A-
I've got
a good-
these visions. I want to work on shit.
A good
Do you
example
know?
is our good friend Nicholas Ross, Euphoric Melancholy.
shout out to Nick. If you're listening, go and listen to Euphoric Melancholy. Not the sponsor of this video, but
Could
if
be.
Nick
Could
did
be.
if Nick did a
Could
video,
be
we
in
would
the
sponsor
A
him.
good
Second
friend
video.
of the podcast.
Yeah, a good friend of the
We
podcast.
have friends of the pod. It's episode 1.
We have friends of the podcast.
Do we have enemies of the podcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
we
you.
need that. Can he be a host and an enemy? It's a
Absolutely.
conflict of
Yeah, but
interest.
let's keep talking about
But yeah,
Nick. Let's keep
like,
talking
you know,
about Nick.
Nick is someone who is so genuinely like that, like forced himself into this like kind of uncomfortable position where you're going out and you're meeting new people, and just put himself out there. And now like our good friend Jesse has helped him with his single release, and is working on other tracks, and like you know, he's learned so much just like being exposed to Jack and to Avelina, and like where he's come from with his music and where he's going is like completely different, just because he's gone out there and forced himself to make friends with a few people. And it's like now, yeah, friend of the podcast, like friends of all of us, and he's a fantastic bloke.
The thing that's really crazy about Nick is that, and this is where I would say, you can't plan this kind of stuff, but like putting yourself out there in ways that you don't know can really make a difference to where things go, even just like 5 years down the road. Nick used to go to every single Traces show that we used to play at the Youthy and like at the Imperial in Tamworth. Like whenever we played Tamworth, Nick was there every single time, and he would always come up to us and like talk to us while we were like setting up after we finished playing, like, and everything. And he was always really kind, always supportive. I remember like a little bit after that, like I didn't even know he did music, right? Like I didn't know anything about this guy. I started doing like Twitch streaming, and he would come into my Twitch streams, and he was like the one person that routinely every single time he would show up, he would hang out, even if it was just for like 10, 20 minutes. And like that always really, really meant a lot to me. Like he was always hanging out with me on Twitch. He was always like hanging out, listening to my music and everything like that. And over the course of like years and years and years, by just him being there in the background and just chilling out and hanging and stuff, I can't remember what it was. I think he sent me I think I said one day, oh yeah, you should totally like jump up and sing Can't Stop Me, which is like a song that we released with Traces, or like you should do a cover of it. Like not expecting anything. I was just like, this will either be like the coolest thing I've ever heard, or it's going to be like pretty mid, because like local musician, like let's be real.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Like it could be just really, really bad. And he sent me back this like, because he'd always give me like little singing tips in Twitch. And mind you, when people give you like music tips, like you never 100% know. Sometimes you're like, okay, either this person does know what they're talking about, or this is just like one of those internet people, or just people that you meet in real life. That's just, they're all about throwing you advice, but they don't live
They
it.
don't actually know.
Yeah, they don't actually know. He sent me back
Do he know?
he sent me back a, what's he call it? Like a recording of himself singing Can't Stop Me. And it was better than what I could sing it. Like
Yeah,
it was
wow.
amazing. And he didn't have tuning. He didn't have like proper production. It was just him. Like, I think it was him sitting there with his phone.
Isn't that a crazy thing? I've
Yeah.
had that a lot too, where fans will send it to me and they're not even fucking struggling. I'm
Yeah, they're
like,
not
"There's
even
so much
trying."
natural talent here. I'm like, bitch, do you know how long I had to work to fucking get that?
I can't even sing my own song, and you can sing it better than me. Yeah.
Imagine
Yes.
being talented.
Imagine
Ah,
doing
yes, that's lovely.
But yeah, he
press
sent me
play
that.
gang.
And I just remember telling him, like, dude, like, as if you don't make your own music, like, why don't you? Like, you're a really fucking good singer. And I think he started working on his own stuff. He started demoing some things, and he kept going to gigs. And I think that's where he ran into Jesse or something, or saw Jesse's stuff online.
Look, the first time I met him was Avelina invited Sarah and I to go to one of the songwriter nights at the Press.
Yeah.
To meet Luke. And Nick performed, and it was like, holy shit, like,
This dude's good.
this guy's
This
insane.
motherfucker's good.
And then it was really weird because I ended up doing his sister's 21st birthday
I thought you
party.
just said, did his sister?
God damn.
God damn. No, I DJ'd his sister's 21st birthday party, and he was there, and he came up to me and was like, oh, like, cool shirt, because I was wearing one of my Sudden Death shirts, and it's like quite metal, even though it's dubstep. But
Yeah.
it was like I'm wearing this cool metal shirt
Trench.
to this birthday party where all the girls are in lovely dresses, and it's kind of upper class. and
Gangster.
I'm there in my black metal shirt, and he came up to me. He's like, oh, like, who is that? I was like, oh yeah, it's this dubstep artist or whatever. And he was like, oh, you're that guy from Songwriters. And like we just ended up, like, he'd messaged me on and off for, like, you know, the next however many months, just about like what music I was working on and where I was playing and that kind of thing. And like exactly like you say, like, just like
he put himself out there and had conversations, even if it might have been a bit awkward or might have been a bit like,
yeah, because we all have that thing where it's like, you know, you don't want to go up to, say, a band has just performed. You never want to go up and be that guy, right?
that Punisher motherfucker. That's,
Yeah, and you know, like speak to someone who's just performed, because like it's always awkward, but like, you know, he put himself in that position, and you know, as we've come to find out, is like he's an incredible guy. Not only an incredible guy, but he's
An unbelievably genuine
And this
person.
is where we
Yeah.
launched the Nicholas Rush YouTube channel.
Yeah, we drag
If you
him
haven't
in
thought
this.
about that, I think it might be time.
He does have a YouTube channel.
there we go.
I'll link it in the comments because you guys definitely should listen to
Euphoric
his music.
Melancholy.
Yeah, Euphoric Melancholy. But yeah, like he genuinely put himself out there. He put himself in front of everyone. And like the thing is, I think this is the most important bit, is he didn't do it with the idea of like, oh, this is going to get me somewhere in music, or like I better be friends with the person who runs like the metal gigs in town because I want to play metal one day or something like that. It was just like, he just had a genuine love for everything that was happening, a love for music, and wanted to just straight out support it.
Yeah.
And like, mind you, the other end of it is he's ridiculously talented, ridiculously good, which like, that's the one thing that you also like, if you're an artist and you're trying to get out there or you're trying to do stuff, like you have to be good. Like you can't just talk, like you could just talk to everyone and kind of suck and you might get like somewhere, but it works thousands of times better when like you kick ass.
And don't be a dick.
Yeah,
That's
and
a big thing I say
that's
on my
it.
channel.
That's
be
probably
a nice person.
the main
you know,
thing.
Yeah.
Be humble and gracious, and treat people with respect. And don't think you know everything. That's a huge thing.
Simply
can
wish
learn
for the
from
downfall of your enemies.
everyone.
Don't participate in it.
I love how brutal that was.
A little different from what we'll say in the sentiment there.
I love how though, like you're like dressed like a total like you like, it's like you look like the type of person who would have said that statement. You're like,
Yeah,
peace,
I know, I like
peace
that.
and love man,
So,
and then
yeah,
Angus is
yeah.
just like the peace and love man kind of like most looking person here, and he's just like,
Did
kill
not
your
expect
enemies.
I wish
that.
the downfall
No.
of my enemy.
I didn't say kill them. I said just pray and hope for them to receive the worst
Quick
things in
death.
the universe. No, not quick. Jesus.
They're come up
That's
with-
too
I wish the
kind.
destruction of all my enemies.
Exactly.
What
And
should I
just,
do, Lord?
Just wish it.
Destroy the job.
I love that Alex Jones clip.
God.
What's so god?
Yeah,
Alex
but-
Jones is the worst. Irrelevant.
putting yourself out there and being good, I think, is like a really, really huge thing about all of that. And I think that's the best way you can find your community. And
Sometimes, just to pause you on that, you said putting yourself out there and being good, but sometimes the thing
Being
that
shit.
no that like allows you to see the beauty and goodness in yourself is putting yourself out there. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's like you need to have enough belief in yourself to put yourself out there. Like the amount of times you've done that to me too, where you've heard one of my songs and like I almost don't see it until I see your reaction. So it's like through you.
yeah,
I see a reflection of me that I didn't see, and like it's just absolutely like your reaction says she's a killer. Like you're fucking holy shit, man.
yeah, it's a
You
it's
lost your shit.
It's an insane song. But like, I guess when you're stuck in the shit of your own stuff, you're sort of like, oh yeah, this is like really mid. Like this is
Right?
not good shit.
There's no treble, there's no
Yeah,
bass, it's
you-
just mid, and
you-
like you
you
made
need-
me see the whole fucking thing again, and like it's
you
beautiful.
need the sounding board. Like you need someone that is like completely detached from what you do, that will give you genuine advice and genuine feedback. Because if you don't have that, like you get stuck in that trap where you're constantly seeking validation. And unless it's like genuine validation from someone that actually, you know, has some backing behind them, it doesn't really mean anything, and it's very hollow. So, you know, when someone comes to you and genuinely expresses like what you're doing is really cool, like it's such a good boost to, you know, like not only your ego, but like you, when you're in that space where you like, oh my god, like my stuff sucks, like brother, this stinks, like. having someone to come and, you know, give you that little wake up call that, like, okay, the work that I put in has actually come to some sort of fruition, and it means something to someone else other than me, like, is super important. And when you surround yourself with people that will give you that genuine, like, feedback and genuine advice, because you've put yourself in that position where you can be vulnerable and you can be, you know, truthfully, like, kind of expressing yourself around other people, and they can go, okay, yeah, you suck, or okay, like, you're awesome, but it all be constructive. It's, yeah, just like, you know, I'm very grateful to have obviously found this group of people that we can be those other people for each other, like,
and it's like there's no bullshit, there's no what's it call it, like smoke being blown up your ass kind of deal, or like someone just saying, oh, this is like not great because they're fucking salty about the fact that you didn't come up with it or something, you know, like,
Oh, I know Connor hates me.
oh, absolutely.
Stain on his life.
Absolutely.
But we're genuine.
but without that, like as you said, it's like you wouldn't have probably found as much magic in your songs if you didn't have me to kind of like hype you up about them, or even like sometimes when you were doing like a performance of like a new music video or something, which is, it again, is as such an important reason why you need other people. Like, you can do stuff on your own.
Yeah.
It's just how long can you do it
That,
is
and
the question.
You brought it out, and I'm sure I did with you as well, right?
Yeah.
We have this like feeding effect. It's like, it's very cyclic, and like I've worked with some people, I'm not going to mention, where the cycle is completely shut down. I'm like, wow, not only I'm uncertain if you believe in the project, but because of that and the incongruency that it made me feel, it made me lose faith in my performance, right?
Yeah.
And working with you and yous as well, like the whole team, it really fucking lifts me the fuck up, and it changes how I perform, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's something that when you're used to working by yourself, you don't realize is something that's useful that you need. But at the same time, though, I think that it's only worth going for if you find and have the right people. Because if you're surrounded by a team that doesn't 100% see your vision or doesn't want the best for you and what you want to do, like, you're just going to wind up back in the same hole where you're going to be disappointed and you'll end up working by yourself again on something.
Right, which is where we're like thinking of like record contracts and things like that. It's not always the right thing to take like a deal. Imagine that, like you sign and then they just kill the artist. How often does that happen, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to stay independent.
And
But you got to make sure on every level, even like the small, big, medium, that you're surrounded by people that get what you do and have your truest interest at heart.
Yeah, because like in the end of the day, that's all anyone in any of these industries is. It's all just people connecting with people. Art's meant to be shared, you know, and without that sharing and without that connection with other people, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's meaningless, but like it definitely doesn't, it doesn't have the same effect, and it's not as interesting. But yeah, connecting with people I think is so important, and definitely something I wouldn't say I like undervalued it, but I think I didn't have the right people around me to let me see the beauty in that, which is...
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment.
Speaking of connecting with people, the people listening to this should go connect with their loved ones and take their headphones out. It's time to pack up. This is like an hour and 45 minutes.
I need to sleep.
Yeah.
I have an hour drive.
For anyone that's... it's like midnight here. We're filming this at like a really, really weird time because it's not a podcast unless you don't do that. But yeah, anyway, that's episode 1. Just want to say thanks to everyone for talking.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having us.
And thanks for anyone who's been listening.
Where's the pizza?
Oh, yeah, we've got the pizza.
Podcasts are a collaborative project that doesn't require pizza. That's the rule for the audience. Good night.
He really wants to round this up.
But yeah. Thanks for chilling out. Thanks for coming around. And yeah, everyone, if you're online, make sure you go and check out Connor. Angus's and Avelina's socials. They'll be linked in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description.
Down
Probably the
below.
comments as well. They'll
Plug
probably comment.
moment. Say your Twitter out loud.
Yeah,
I'm not used-
AvelinaDeMoray.com. Go and check out my website.
At disarray__DJ on most platforms.
I'm at Cons Official on most things, I think. Cons,
You got some underscores in weird
Cons
places.
Statham at Instagram because I'm stupid and don't have a congruent handle scheme because someone stole Cons Official on Instagram. But anyway, big shout out to Euphoric Melancholy and Serrated, friends of the podcast.
Yeah.
We
Big friends.
I definitely want them here with us when we do this again, because they are not only fantastic artists, but they're fantastic people. What else?
We obviously you already follow Noctica on every platform.
Yeah.
But if you don't,
But if you don't,
if you don't, and you're just watching this for some reason, you should like, share, subscribe. No, just
yeah,
like,
no,
just
literally like,
rate,
share, subscribe right now.
Hit the bell icon.
the bell,
or
and this is where the
perish.
weird emoji pops up.
Absolutely, or perish. Hit that bell icon or die.
I will give up my
Riddle.
only wish, death upon my enemies, just for you. Bell.
Let's bring it back to the music. Just go out, listen to the Noctica video.
Support your local
Yeah.
artists, please.
Go and buy your single that's now on Spotify. And I'm so proud of you. It's been so much fun to watch you.
Thanks.
Yeah, in this
Thanks.
journey. And your video editing was fucking top notch.
Thank you. Well, we've got the next one planned and ready to go. So that'll
We're gonna
be
kill some bitches.
maybe
We'll
we've got two ideas.
We'll
We've got two
get
ideas.
lost in Avelina's house.
Slay witches,
probably
bed
next
bitches.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah. Anyway,
All right, until next time.
until next time. Thank you so much
Peace
for
out,
joining,
homies.
and we'll see you all later.
Mwah. I love you romantically.